Welcome to Movies in the Making. In today's episode, we are going to be looking at the 1976 crime drama film Taxi Driver, originally released by Columbia Pictures and directed by Martin Scorsese. Here, we will dive deep into the story of the production of this film. For following a script that was written only in 2 weeks, there was a lot of consideration with shaping the film into what we all remember. Part of the film was made out of real experiences which already helped to make it that much more relatable. So, sit back and enjoy the show. You are all in for an interpersonal ride. Paul Schrader, the screenwriter behind Taxi Driver, came up with the idea for the film during a difficult period in his life, marked by personal and professional struggles. He was deeply depressed, dealing with broken relationships, financial troubles, and a sense of isolation. Schrader, unable to sleep and consumed by his despair, would wander the streets of New York City at night, drinking and visiting bars and pornographic venues, which lasted for 2 weeks. This destructive routine ultimately led him developing an ulcer, which sent him to the hospital. During his recovery, Schrader conceived the metaphor of the taxi as a coffin and saw himself as a lone figure trapped in an iron box. The script for the film came to him quickly, almost like a form of self-therapy rather than with any commercial intention. Schrader wrote it in about 15 days, driven more by personal need than ambition, and later described it as a reflection of the overlap between the pain in his life and the pain of the work itself. In 1969, Martin Scorsese was an assistant professor at NYU, struggling with a difficult marriage, financial instability, and personal turmoil after his film Who's That Knocking at My Door? Joseph Brenner Associates 1967 did not provide the breakthrough he had hoped for. Despite this, Scorsese's obsession with filmmaking remained undiminished, and he poured his energy into teaching, captivating students with his passion for cinema. His early influences, particularly from his mentor Haig Manoogian, encouraged him to draw on personal experiences for his films, leading him to create deeply emotional, often confessional works. Schrader's script for Taxi Driver, though conceived in a period of personal depression and disillusionment, resonated with Scorsese's own experiences of internal conflict and emotional turbulence. Brian De Palma was briefly attached to direct Taxi Driver, but Scorsese convinced the producers to give him the job after screening Mean Streets, Warner Bros. 1973, and securing Robert De Niro for the lead. Robert De Niro's iconic portrayal of Travis Bickle in the film almost never happened, as director Scorsese initially offered the role to Dustin Hoffman. Hoffman declined due to Scorsese's intense approach, and De Niro, despite being at the peak of his career with a $500,000 fee, accepted the part for only $35,000. De Niro was deeply drawn to the character and was committed to the role even as he balanced it with another project in Italy. His performance, which solidified his status as a Hollywood star, included the famous improvised line, "You talking to me?" a moment that became one of the most memorable quotes in film history. Though Scorsese had also considered other actors such as Al Pacino and Jeff Bridges, De Niro's unique take on Bickle helped make the character a cultural touchstone. To prepare for his role as Travis Bickle, De Niro drove a real cab around New York City, working 15-hour shifts to experience the long, restless hours his character would endure. Although he had just won an Academy Award for The Godfather Part 2, De Niro was still relatively unknown at the time and was only recognized once while driving. That recognition came from a young, struggling actor who had seen De Niro's performance in The Godfather Part 2 and was surprised to learn that, despite his Oscar win, he still had to take such a challenging job, commenting, "You just won an Oscar. My God, is it that hard to get work?" De Niro's iconic line, "You talking to me?" in the film was actually improvised, as confirmed by Scorsese. During filming, De Niro, portraying Travis Bickle, was ad-libbing while imagining a confrontation with an unseen foe in the mirror. Scorsese, who was under pressure due to the production being behind schedule, encouraged De Niro to keep improvising despite producers urging him to move on. Scorsese recalled going into the door, asking for just a few more takes while De Niro continued to deliver the memorable line, which was not part of the script. This spontaneous moment became one of the most famous lines in film history, largely thanks to De Niro's creativity and Scorsese's willingness to let him experiment. Jodie Foster, who was just 12 years old when she was cast in the film, recalled her experience working with Scorsese and co-star De Niro. Foster, who had already been acting ever since she was free, was more experienced than her adult counterparts at the time, having appeared in more films than De Niro and Scorsese. While filming, the young actress found herself in awkward situations, including scenes that required her to engage with adult themes, such as having to pull his fly down. Foster noted that Scorsese was especially nervous around her, often giggling during her interactions, which led De Niro to step in and take over. Despite the discomfort, Foster took it all in stride, showcasing a level of confidence well beyond her years. Over 250 actresses auditioned for the role of Iris, including Carrie Fisher, Michelle Pfeiffer, Marielle Hemingway, Bo Derek, Rosanna Arquette, Christy McNichol, and Kim Cattrall, many of whom became big stars later on. Although the role ultimately went to Jodie Foster, it is interesting that a few years later, Foster was considered for the role of Princess Leia in Star Wars, 20th Century Studios' 1977, which Carrie Fisher particularly ended up landing, creating an ironic twist where Foster took a star-making role from Fisher, and then Fisher did the same. Foster's portrayal of Iris in the film was a challenging role for the actress, not due to the controversial subject matter, but because of the costume choices, which made her feel uncomfortable. At the time, Foster was a tomboy who disliked revealing clothing, and when she first saw her wardrobe for the film, comprising shorts, platform shoes, and halter tops, she was nearly brought to tears. Her mother, who was always on set with her, helped her calm down by reminding her that the outfit was just for the character she portrayed, not for herself. Although Foster had reservations, the costumes, designed by Ruth Morley, were based on the real-life inspiration for a young sex worker and were crucial in shaping Iris's authentic look, despite the actress's initial discomfort. The casting of Foster in the film sparked controversy, particularly because of the role she played as Iris, a teenage prostitute. Many questioned whether it was appropriate for such a young actress to be involved in such a mature and potentially exploitative project. Foster's presence on set seemed to create an unease for the adult cast and crew, especially given the explicit nature of some of the scenes. However, Foster's professionalism and experience in the industry helped ease some of these tensions, even though the film's subject matter and her age raised ethical concerns at the time. Despite these challenges, the film went on to become a classic, with Foster's performance being widely praised. Because Jodie herself was only 12 years old during filming, her older sister, Connie Foster, then about 20 years old, performed the sexually explicit scenes for the film. Sybil Shepherd's journey to landing her role in the film began with a fortuitous meeting that would change her career. After her breakout role in The Last Picture Show, Columbia Pictures, 1971, where she became an overnight star, Scorsese saw potential in her for the role of Betsy, the campaign volunteer who becomes the object of Travis Bickle's obsession. Scorsese sought an actress who could embody both beauty and complexity, qualities that Shepherd naturally possessed. He needed someone who could portray Betsy not just as a stereotypical love interest, but as a woman admired yet understood by the film's troubled anti-hero, making Shepherd the perfect fit. Their collaboration marked a pivotal moment for both Scorsese and Shepherd. As Scorsese was cementing his reputation as a director of urban despair, Shepherd was proving her range in more complex roles. Scorsese's direction, including deep discussions about Betsy's character, pushed Shepherd to explore new depths in her performance. Her portrayal of Betsy's guarded and enigmatic nature became central to the film's exploration of Travis's psyche. Despite the challenges of working alongside method actors like De Niro, Shepherd's subtle and composed performance added tension and depth to the film. Her role in Taxi Driver not only solidified her status as a serious actress, but also marked the beginning of her career as a go-to talent for complex, layered characters in visionary films. Taxi Driver was filmed in various iconic locations throughout New York City, showcasing the gritty, urban environment that shaped Travis Bickle's sense of alienation and despair. Notable filming sites include West 57th Street between 11th and 12th Avenues, Times Square, Broadway, 7th Avenue, West 42nd and 47th Streets, and 8th Avenue and West 47th Street in Manhattan. Other key locations featured in the film include the Show and Tell Theater at 737 8th Avenue, now demolished, Charles Pallantine's headquarters on Broadway and West 63rd Street, Hotel Olcott at 27 West 72nd Street, and the Coffee Shop at 8th Avenue and West 58th Street. The film also captured scenes in neighborhoods such as 3rd Avenue and East 13th Street, West 38th Street and 7th Avenue, and several spots around Central Park West and Columbus Circle, giving a stark portrayal of the city during the 70s. Michael Chapman became the cinematographer for the film largely due to a series of fortunate circumstances. Initially, Scorsese needed an East Coast cameraman for the low-budget film, and after his preferred options, including Gordon Willis and Haskell Wexler, were unavailable, Chapman was chosen. Despite the film's modest budget and lack of expectations for its success, Chapman worked closely with Scorsese to craft the visual style, which has since become iconic. Chapman, who had later worked with Scorsese on The Last Waltz, United Artists, 1978, and Raging Bull, also United Artists, this time 1980, was known for his ability to manage complex, elaborate shot planning, which made him a valuable partner for Scorsese. Reflecting on Taxi Driver and the film's raw, gritty portrayal of New York, though he never anticipated it would become the enduring classic it is today. The film's success was an unexpected outcome for their collaborative efforts, marking another milestone in Chapman's influential career. Bernard Herrmann became the composer for the film after Scorsese approached him about the project in the 1970s. At the time, Herrmann, then 65, was living in London, and although he initially resisted, saying he knew little about cab drivers, he was intrigued by the film's unique elements, particularly a scene involving Travis Bickle pouring peach schnapps over white bread for breakfast. Herrmann agreed to work on the film under his usual condition of total control over music. This collaboration resulted in a striking score that blended old and new Hollywood styles, combining classical orchestration with jazz influences, the latter being a genre that Herrmann had never fully embraced before. The music, which ranged from mournful saxophone themes to eerie, unsettling cues, perfectly mirrored the dark and complex themes of the film, making it one of Herrmann's most memorable works. Tragically, Herrmann passed away just hours after the final recording session, leaving Taxi Driver as his last score and one of the crowning achievements of his illustrious career. The final shootout in Taxi Driver appears notably grim due to a color desaturation technique used to secure the R rating by the Motion Picture Association of America. The MPAA was concerned about the violence in the scene and threatened to give the film an NC-17 rating. Normally, films that are rated NC-17 by the MPAA are given a more limited release. The only exception was Paul Verhoeven's Showgirls, United Artists, 1995, which turned out to be a critically panned financial failure. To avoid this in 1976, Scorsese desaturated the colors, dulling the red of the blood, as the MPAA allows violent films as long as the blood is not too bright red. This adjustment not only satisfied the rating board but also gave the scene a hauntingly unnatural appearance, which enhanced its impact. As of the 17th of March, 2025, Taxi Driver has an 89% critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes, a 94 out of 100 critics score on Metacritic, an 8.2 rating on IMDb, and a 4.1 rating on Letterboxd. The film's budget was about $1.9 million, and it grossed over $27 million following its initial release date of the 7th of February 1976. The film received 4 Academy Award nominations, one for Best Picture, to Michael and Julia Phillips, one for Best Actor, to De Niro, one for Best Supporting Actress, to Jodie Foster, and one posthumous for Best Original Score, to Herrmann. In 1994, the film was chosen by the American Library of Congress to be preserved for the National Film Registry as culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. John Hinckley Jr.'s obsession with Taxi Driver played a significant role in his decision to attempt the assassination of then-President Ronald Reagan in 1981. After watching the film multiple times, Hinckley became fixated on Jodie Foster and began to identify with Travis Bickle, the film's troubled anti-hero protagonist. He saw his violent actions as a way to win Foster's affection, even writing that he would abandon his plan to harm Reagan if he could be with her. This delusional connection to the film and its characters, particularly Bickle's attempt to assassinate the politician, led Hinckley to attempt the shooting. During his trial, psychiatrists argued that his obsession with the film and its characters contributed to the psychotic state and his unlawful, violent act. The case raised troubling questions about the influence of art on disturbed individuals and the blurred lines between fiction and reality. Hinckley was eventually and unconditionally released from prison in 2022. And that wraps up our deep dive into the making of Taxi Driver. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to stay updated on all things movies in the making. Let us know in the comments what you think of Taxi Driver, or if you have any favorite moments from that film we did not touch upon, or what films you would like to hear covered by this channel. Also be sure to check out our community page, where we announce what films we talked about by this channel each week. New posts arrive every Friday, or Saturday if we forget to post anything on Friday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time on Movies in the Making, where we will be talking about The Woman in Black, Momentum Pictures 2012, and more films to follow along the way. Tune in for more Movies in the Making as we uncover the stories from cinema's most unforgettable films. This has been Jason Scotchmer, film enthusiast and passionate about the arts.